Okay, hi everybody, I'm Anni. And we have here Angelos and Jon. Very happy to have you all here. So let me sit as well. Today I'll be co-hosting with Jon some chats. For this particular chat, I'm here to talk to you and with these guys about communities and brands in Metaverse and Web3. So I am running the Bitcoin blockchain meetup in Athens, and we got a community of 3,050 people. We are a pro bono voluntarily group, and each month we do like seminars or social media or social meetups or any other kind of meetups around blockchain adoption and how its users can be used in Metaverse or Web3 or any kind of business deal. But so far, I've only built like 3 communities here and abroad, and we got here 2 experts who are going to talk to us about communities and personal brands, and I would like you to hear from them directly about communities and brands. Guys, would you want to do an introduction?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much, Annie, for the introduction. I am Angelos Perlegas. I am a social media strategist. I'm an instructor for social media in the course of NoCrunch. And I am also a content creator for the Greek digital marketing community. My base is LinkedIn. I write a lot about digital marketing stuff in LinkedIn. And I'm here to talk with Annie and Jon about communities in the metaverse, in the Web3 space, and it is something that I am currently exploring as well. I'm working with companies, and I'm working and as a freelancer for the communities in some latest projects. And I think that I'm going to pass the microphone to Jon here so he can introduce himself.
Nice to meet you two guys. I'm very excited to be here. I want to thank also Annie, Jon, and the rest of the team that they built all this thing, and we are here today and speak about everything that it's everything about we like and we want to do in our daily life. So when it comes to me, I'm Jon. I am Jon Foundis. I'm the head of growth in Amaze SA company. We have several companies under our umbrella, but the main thing is that I help software as a service startups to grow. And one of the main things that I am into the last few years is communities, and that's how more or less I came into the NFT and metaverse space. So let's get started.
Okay, so thank you guys. I guess the first question is why is it important to build a community, and why is it important to have traction in the community? We're in year 2022, we are after COVID, we have taken communities digital. So, Angelo, would you like to start with this question?
Yeah, of course. It's like what you said, and it's 2022, and communities are all the rage right now in marketing, in general marketing as a practice, because we have seen that with all the shift in the mindset of consumers, generally speaking, due to COVID, but not only due to COVID, but due to a lot of other reasons, and the whole digital transformation that the world is currently undergoing. For example, in Greece, we are behind in that regard, and COVID helped us a lot in order to promote the digital transformation of companies. We've seen that communities can be an integral part of the brands and of companies in order to promote their communities and services. And communities have not always been so prominent in the marketing plan of a brand and of a company. Me as Angelos, because I have been in the crypto space, which is a proponent of the Web3 space since 2014, I've seen this firsthand with communities, how important they were, long before even NFTs came into the space. And I've seen them work and just make brands very not fruitful, have a lot of profit and a lot of traction with a lot of a bigger audience, because they had increased their engagement with a core community. So communities and the people that you engage with are super important going on for every brand, and we've seen that many mainstream big brands in the space, in the general world per se, have been investing in communities, and I think that John can elaborate on this, of course.
So yes, I mean, like the whole thing about communities and something that we have to keep in mind is that right now it's a very, very unique point, let's say, in the content marketing strategy of a brand. But when this is something that happens to, let's say, more traditional brands. But when it comes to the NFT space or the crypto space, it's something totally fundamental that it's very, very needy. I mean, like it's like something that consumes a lot of energy, but this thing gives back a lot, because if you don't have an active community with members that they can support the project, I mean, like you kind of suck. I mean, like something is wrong with you or your project. But I mean, like that's the whole idea, that it's the heart of every single, let's say, Web3 project, because they can also lift it or totally destroy it.
I can understand that, but don't you think communities are different by age? So more millennials or Gen Z are more prone to be part of our community. What about, is it a difference when you apply to different age groups? Would you differentiate that in this way?
Yes, I mean, this is again part of the content strategy, because depending on the niche that you want to target, you create communities in different channels. So that was the easy and quick answer. But I mean, like we've seen that also in other, like, let's say, industries or examples, that a Facebook community can be very successful to a certain age or certain things, and then it's quite difficult or quite different to have a Telegram or a Discord community that it's like with more tech-savvy people that are more or less in the crypto or the NFT space. So like that's the thought behind all those things.
So the channel is a make or break, right? And Angelos, you have been using a lot of LinkedIn, right? You have created a huge LinkedIn community. So
Yeah.
would you like to talk about this a bit?
Just to add on what John said already, so the brands and the companies have to do some great research on their audiences in order to be able to know exactly who their persona, who their consumers are, and whatever age they have, whatever age they are, those consumers or even super consumers, their core community, there's always a tool, there's always a channel that they can communicate their brand, their services and their products, and that they can invest in. For example, for older ages, you have Facebook groups. For younger ages or for the Web3 and crypto community, you have Discord channels, you have Telegram channels. All the tools are there, but you have to know who the audience is and where you can find them, where you can find that audience.
Okay.
So yeah, for example, me, Angelos, as a personal brand, I have invested a lot of time in LinkedIn because that is the opportunity that I found, which means that I know that my audience is there and I know that it's a very fruitful channel for me to create content on and be able to communicate my values and my own thinking and my own services, if you like, to the consumers and to the people that I know I want to network with.
Okay, this is quite interesting because at the blockchain Bitcoin meetup, we started the community at the meetup. So we use this as a tool, the meetup, to get people together. Then because we're kind of technical group, technical functional, we got a lot of developers there, we moved to Slack and Discord. And now we are 3,050 members, we are quite big. And I kind of find it difficult to maintain attraction using these channels. So I don't know, Telegram, on the other hand, is a bit chaotic, I think. So what would you think?
So, I mean, like, as I said before, the thing is to know exactly what you want to achieve. And depending on the goal that you want to achieve as a community, you use different tools. I remember back in the COVID days that we used Clubhouse, and it was something that it went extremely well. I think we started, like, the moment that I joined, the Clubhouse was already being full of marketing communities, and I created a new community about content marketing. It's called Content Marketing Backyard, and I've seen a small gap on the type of content that it was already there. So creating something totally different and bringing people to speak about different things that no one listened or no one speak before made that interesting. I know that the tool is there now, nobody is using it, but if you want and if you somehow want again to create something and you have a vibrant community that wants to go back and listen to that thing, they will go back. So at the end of the day, we know that communities are very hard because you need so many moderators, you need so many stuff, and they need a lot of energy. And I remember once that we did something for a client, and at the same time we were running an unofficial community about I can't remember the name now, but I mean, like, it was a very well-known community in Reddit about the GameStop thing. And I remember a friend of mine that he was helping me, and he had like 6 different personalities in the Discord team speaking every single day. I mean, like, he could also speak with himself as a lady, as a man, as a boy, and he was like, I mean, like, the guy was trying to fake it until he made it, and he made it. I mean, like, it was looking like a proper discussion, but it was only one person doing that. So I mean, like, you need a lot of ways to figure out how you will, make engagement for the community, because sometimes, depending on the medium, let's say the Facebook communities, the people the majority of the people that they are in those communities are lurkers, as we say. They don't post. They just maybe in a good day they will comment something. But when it comes to communities like Discord, everybody is talking and they talk a lot. So yes, it's not very easy to accomplish and decide the road that you're going to go.
So going back to the example of the blockchain community, of your blockchain community, the good thing about vibrant, active communities is that you can engage with them and they want to engage back. So the best thing that you have to do, if you see that you have a certain limitation because of the tool that you are using, you can ask the community what they feel like, how they feel about switching to a different tool, so that you can scale the community. There's a great chance that they have already used some other tools and they have an opinion on that. So you can run polls, or you can ask simple questions in the community, spark engagement, and make the community actually decide what they want to do with this. If you want to move away from Slack to Discord or some other channel, for example, you can argue as much as you want about why you want to do this, but in the end, it all comes down back to the community. And the good thing about this whole engagement thing is that the community will see that you take into account their opinion, and they will honor you for it with good engagement and with much more discussion on such topics. And as such, it will be a vibrant, it will be a community of loyal members that will stay with you. And this doesn't have to do with the blockchain community per se, but with every other community. It's the same thing with every channel. People are participating in the community in such a tool, for example, like Slack or Discord, because they expect to engage. They're not just there to consume content like they would be on Twitter or on LinkedIn, for example. So use that to your advantage.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, the whole question is how to add traction to this, right?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing, but from the other hand, the thing is that you said that in the beginning, the whole thing was set up on Meetup. Meetup by default is a tool that it's supposed to be for real life event, mostly. So that was one of the issues, let's say, because I tend to address to some issues if I find them. So I'm like,
of the limitations.
Yeah, I'm like, it has some, not only limitations, but the original commitment was being in a meetup thing, doing only the meetup.
So being physically there.
Yeah. So the moment that you, let's say, convert them and you turn them like to an online community, then you have to find like other ways to do that. And Angelos said very nice tricks to do that. But I think the other thing is to, as I told you, start faking till you make it.
Okay, thank you. I guess another question is like what many, especially people from Greece, are asking about is how you've built a community here in Greece. How do you make it international? How do you make it like borderless?
Okay. So one tactic I would use, and Jon can actually add to this, is that I would use the social media channels in order to gain traction with the international community. For example, to use the easy example of the Web3 or crypto community, you have Twitter, which is the base of all the content that they consume online. So this means that your pieces of content have the ability to become viral, or at least to be exposed to the general public. So what you do is that you use your current community, you ask them to engage with everything, you ask them to share them in Twitter or on the other channels, so that you can actually reach new audiences and gain traction in some other, in the international audience. And you can use that, you can use Twitter, for example, to do this, and it's a very common tactic, but you have to use your current community in order to gain some traction and gain momentum. And it's very helpful to have built the community from the beginning in order to be able to do that. So you can scale your social media channels to outreach, to reach new audiences by using your already built community, your built-in community.
One other thing that you can do, and it doesn't necessarily includes a budget to do that, is to find other guys with other communities that they are also international and let them shout out to the community for you, especially in channels like Twitter, as Angelos said, it's very easy to do that. Or let them come and invite them in a Twitter space or something like that. We saw like 3 days ago that even Instagram, in order to speak about NFTs and stuff like that, they made a Twitter space and their Instagram, for God's sake. And then you can understand that with partnerships, you have more things to gain than to lose. One other thing that Angelos says, and it's true, it works, is that if you ask for the community to do stuff, sometimes they actually do them. So I mean, like, that's simply as that. You can ask things and people will do. Yeah. And this is something that is fascinating because you only see a handle of, and you can understand that it's everyday people behind it. But at the end of the day, there are people and they might, do exactly what you told. And the other thing is to be authentic. That's the easiest thing that we can do. Being authentic, speaking about stuff like, let's say, for the example of Jon, he's speaking always and he's saying what he's thinking about and the community responds back. That's it, yeah, I know. But yes, that's the whole thing.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask one more question with this regards, because it's great. You build a community, 3,000 people, you take it abroad, you're being fully authentic. At some point, I guess some people will want to monetize the community.
Okay.
How about that? How do you do that?
Okay, from my own perspective, you have to know if you got in your hands a personal brand or a brand or a general brand, a company brand. So a company can use the community in order to promote some new products or services, and they can ask them directly for feedback. So that core community will actually be your early adopters, your super consumers that want to try your stuff. So they are actually invested in you. And for example, in the Web3 and the crypto community, they're literally invested in you. So that's what they are. They are super consumers that want to try your products and they will buy your products, your services, and your ideas. As a personal brand now, you can build some how can I say, some distribution channels, your front in your social media channels like Twitter or LinkedIn, and you can promote there your services in your own profiles. For example, Twitter, you can put some things in your bio like links, and people can click on that and get a glimpse of your services or buy something from your website. Or in LinkedIn, for example, you have the featured section where you can feature some of your products and services with links and images, and people that are organically searching and are interested in you and are searching for your profile can actually click there and buy something from you or subscribe to you. Twitter actually had a subscription service, which it has been discontinued as of yesterday, if I'm not incorrect. It's review. I don't remember the exact name, but it got discontinued. Yeah.
We've seen also in Greece there are some communities about science that they had a book, or some other guys that we know in other communities that in a way sells posts and replies, and people can buy, let's say, comments and reply to fake posts that they're creating in order to apply a brand and then create something like a viral, let's say, reaction. So Discord also, that is in the NFT community, it's something that you can separately use and create with third-party tools in order to make, as Angelos said, a subscription model that anybody can use, and that's the thing. There are so many other platforms like that, and we can name like a few, like Substack. It's like something like for people that want to write newsletters. Also, right now, Instagram, they announced that in a few days, and I think it's already there, you can have like special content under a specific subscription. So that's the thing. We live in the creators era, and this is something that is totally normal, and depending on the industry and the brand that you want to build, you give, there is so many opportunities and tools to do that. So it depends, as I told before, to the final product, or if, as Angelos said, if it's going to be a service. So there are so many possibilities and tools, but the easiest thing is the subscription model right now.
So micropayments with subscription model. Okay, it's great that you bring the NFT topic up, because I want to ask you a question. What about the very exclusive communities, like the Ape Yacht Club?
What about them?
What do you think about very exclusive communities?
The thing is that all that's happening in that area, I mean, in that industry is kind of right now, it reminds me like the Wild West. Things are happening like daily, and for that community, as you said before, the specific community, I read like yesterday or something that a bunch of celebrities are suing them because they use their names and they brought some light to the community, and people are buying their stuff in order to be with a private group of other celebrities. So, but still, at the end of the day, they are one of the most influenced NFTs brands out there. You've seen that the community people of the community are doing like tattoos, they open restaurants, and we pass that thing that right now, even if you own a specific NFT from this collection, you can use it, you can give it to a gallery or a PR company, and they can license it and make a whole collection out of only one.
Yes.
So I think that right now, when it comes to the NFT space especially, we are in a very early stage that no one knows exactly what's going to happen in the next few years. So we need to, stay and watch carefully how all these things will go. I mean, like, yeah, something. What do you want to?
Yeah, of course, I just wanted to add that the Ape Club, for example, is a prime case study for marketing because it involves human psychology, it involves the new Web3 space, NFTs, and everything. So I urge, for example, digital marketers that don't know a lot about NFTs or the Web3 community and crypto community to study them, because instead of disregarding them as some, just funny stuff online, just some digital stuff online, because they are prime examples of what they could try to build for their own brands and their own communities and for their own services, of course, because they figured it out. They experimented. They made it happen, and they made it work, and they're still around. They're still very lucrative and people want them. So it's a case study actually. Projects like that, which certainly deserve our attention. Me as a professional, for example, and Jon, of course, and it is something that we have to keep in mind and at least study, if not participate in. Of course, the Ape Club is very exclusive. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to participate in it, but yeah, it's something to keep an eye on, of course.
Okay, we got time for one last question, and I want to ask from what I understand so far, traction and testing, like experimenting with different social tools, but also knowing which tool to use is really important. So I guess the last question would be, what's the difference between a Web3 versus traditional community or branding?
There is a big difference because brands, first of all, at that point, haven't realized the power of communities yet. Not at least not all the brands, the traditional brands that we were saying. And the thing is that for them, it's something complementary. It's not going to change so much the whole roadmap or the way that, or the profit or something like that. But for a Web3 project, and if we can see the NFTs in particular, it's like you can't do anything without the community. It's the main thing. The community will help you do everything. Even at some points, if you don't have enough moderators, people that they are already inside the community will start helping other people that joining the community at a certain point. So it's something like a very, let's say, team sport when it comes to the communities of Web3 projects, especially in NFTs, that all the community will decide if they will go that way or the other way, and they can break or make a deal. So that's very, very fundamental for me.
For me, I think that traditional marketing and traditional businesses have to watch the Web3 communities and the Web3 things happening in that space, because they are forward-looking and they value what really matters. For example, the communities that we've been talking about, and they cut everything else. They don't invest in everything else. They go straight for the kill, if you want. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I've seen like many traditional businesses and even e-commerce, which is not something traditional, it's something pretty new if you look back at marketing and business, for example. They've been really hard at adapting to the latest, developments. But Web3 and crypto, it's Web3. Of course, it's in their nature. It's in our nature to adapt and to constantly experiment and test stuff, even digital marketing-wise. So I think that even professionals and entrepreneurs have to keep an eye on the latest developments and on the Web3 space, because they have much more to gain from them. And we have to face the fact that there's a lot of younger audiences. There's a big young audience which likes to experiment, and they are the consumers and the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So you have to see how they're thinking and what they generally like to mess with in order to be able to be prepared for that. So that's my take.
Okay, thank you guys. We wanted to engage with you all as well, part of being a community and all, but I got a signal from Jon that we have to speed things up. So thank you all. Thank you, Angelos. Thank you, Jon.